welcome everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. This is your Wednesday wrap-up. My man Herb is here today. How's it going, man?
Man, it is a beautiful morning. I forgot to tell you this off air. Brittany, my wife, won both of her categories in the voting thing that I sent you. And they sent me a thing and they said, hey, Bo was the winning vote in both categories.
I feel like that's probably not accurate, but I'll take it.
Look, I figured we both needed a win to start the morning, right? So, hey, throwing it out there. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. So, actually had a cool milestone yesterday. Hit the 700,000th view of our channel. So
nice.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that was also me. So, you know,
I mean, it probably was. It probably was.
No, in all seriousness, man, congrats, man. That is awesome, man. I like how you're knocking out milestones, man, every day.
Yeah, just keep plugging away at it, right? So we have some ridiculous University of Tennessee, right? Nico, their quarterback, tries to renegotiate his NIL deal. And it's not like he was getting a bad NIL deal, right? He was getting 2.2 mil. Pretty solid. He wanted to sit out of the playoff last year to try and renegotiate. He ends up playing, didn't play very well, but he ends up playing. So then he sits out of practices and spring game. Coach says, enough's enough. And he was just trying to basically double his NIL deal. He was trying to go from 2.2 to 4 mil. He got a phone call from the Oregon coach, Dan Lanning, saying, hey, your guy is here trying to get more NIL money, to which Tennessee's coach wasn't aware at the time. Right. And so they move on from him. Just a weird situation. You knew it was coming, that the NIL deal was going to, because there's no regulations on it of any kind, that people were going to, get greedy and try and strong arm the universities. So I'm really liking these coaches starting to stand up and be like, keep it pushing. Miami's coach came out and was like, yeah, if you're playing the holdout game, you should play the get out game. And so I like that these coaches are like, you know what, we're over it. We're going to play with the guys we got.
Yeah, okay, but Miami's coach just paid like $4 million from Carson Beck, so I'm not really trying to.
He wasn't saying that they weren't going to pay, but people. What he was saying is that if you're trying to hold out, kind of hamstring that franchise, that's your program, whatever you want to call it. That's where I like that the accountability is starting to come back to the coaches, where they're like, yeah, no, we'll figure it out without you.
Right. The problem I have is because there's just, the more you read on this story, the worse it gets, like, to me, for both sides. Had a guy on our show last night who had talked to some people in the thing, and by all accounts, this was not Nico driven. This was his dad driven. And that's, makes a lot more sense to me given what's happened. First off, your parents should not represent you. Okay. Because how negotiations get. Agents and GM sit in a room, the GM or whoever for the team. Yep. The team is going to badmouth everything you do to keep the cost down. That's just part of how they do. They're not going to sit there and sing your praises and then say you don't deserve. What's up, Wynn? How are you doing?
Yep.
So the agent is there to shield the player from that, because the team gets in there and they're like, yeah, look, Herb's terrible looking and he's not funny and he's not intelligent. My agent's not going to come there and tell me that both people said all that. They're just going to be like, hey, this is the number they offered, and they sugarcoat it. When it's your dad, though, he's ready to flip. I imagine my dad be ready to flip the table. So that part shouldn't happen. Okay. On Tennessee's side, if it is true that they were threatening to sit out the bowl game, why did this situation get to the last day of spring with no resolution? Okay. And it's because whatever, like Tennessee, I guess, doesn't have a true GM in place. That's why Alabama's paying like our GM, like $150,000 a year. These situations, because we've had these situations. We've had, again, the guy on our show last night said Alabama had some holdouts threatened 2 years ago.
Yep.
And some of those people are still around. We had our situation earlier in the fall, or later in the fall, excuse me, with a person like threatening to go for get more money. These situations should not get to this point, and they should not get anywhere close to the coach having to make decisions like this.
Yep.
If he was truly upset all spring and he's your starting quarterback for next year, you don't let it get to the last day. That doesn't make any sense to me either. So everyone's like saying, hey, Tennessee's a winner. I'm thinking, what were y'all doing the whole time? You let him practice every single practice all spring knowing he might walk or you might get rid of him any moment? That doesn't make sense either.
Well, I mean, I don't know. He's good enough that you would think that they were probably trying to find a resolution, right? And then it sounds like it was sort of they weren't getting closer together. And, you know, one of the things I was reading, it sounded like he burned through all of his money from the first year. So
probably,
you know, which is crazy.
If your dad's your agent, though, yeah, I can see that. And your dad's wanting more money. And by all accounts, Nico didn't have a lot to do with that. What's up, Sharps? What's up, man? Two of our favorite people on there, too, as well. The Sharpshooters podcast, man.
Nice.
Appreciate them.
Welcome in.
And Canopy up there from Old Time. So what I'm saying is, and then I think sometimes when I start telling both sides, people misunderstand me. Nico was making which like 2.2, and I read some places as much as 2.5 last year, and he was trying to get to 4 million. I don't think his play warranted 4 million. I'll say that off the jump, right?
I mean, I don't think it was 2.5 million.
Yeah. So I don't think he played that well. But if he thought that's what his value is, that's fine. You know, that whatever to me. But the way it was handled on both sides just didn't make any sense to me. And then I don't like the fact that I always say this when what's his name got traded from the Mavericks to the Lakers, Luka.
Yeah.
All the bad stories came out after he got traded.
Oh, of course.
And it's like with Nico, every bad story is coming out like at the end of the drama. Like you guys just should have handled this.
Think about it. Anytime you've had somebody quit a job you were at, everything that's ever gone wrong was their fault. Right? Like, oh, he was such a cancer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you knew that some of that
was going to happen.
And I agree with this. Like, they should be an advisor, right? Like, it's still your parents, whatever. But,
right.
I mean, you need an actual agent.
Yes.
You know, because you need somebody that's unbiased that can also tell you just sit down. Be like, hey, you know what? You signed this deal.
Right.
Like, you got to honor that deal.
Yeah.
And that would have been fine. And honestly, they probably could have made this work. I think that phone call from Dan Lanning in Oregon is really what was just like, okay, you know what? Never mind.
Right.
Because
you're not negotiating good faith anymore.
Exactly. You know, soon as Tennessee didn't even know that he was going outside the building.
Right.
I think that's where it was just like, oh, you know what? We're good.
Right.
Because otherwise, I mean, it sounded like they were trying to find common ground, but soon as it was just like, yeah, I have a number and I'm going to go get it anywhere. I think that's where it really devolved into just a mess that Tennessee walks away. I think, you know, when it comes to Nico, he's going to learn a hard lesson in the way that, you know, he's going from making the 2.2 or maybe 2.5, depending, you know, which report you read. Who knows what he's actually going to get now? Because there's a lot of colleges that aren't interested. They're just like, yeah, you know what? We don't want this kind of drama. We already know that you will do things in bad faith, so we don't really want to get involved in that. Right. And so now you're looking at, you're going to go from 2.2 to 2.5. What, you might get $100,000 deal with UCLA or something. Like, I mean, you are learning some life lessons the hard way.
Yeah, because there's the other stupid part on his whole team's part is it's the end of spring. You know, when you go into the spring portal, guys aren't. I know, like Cal, I think lost their starting quarterback and running back or whatever, and in Oklahoma, I think already picked them up. Those cases are rare. You don't typically need a starting quarterback at the end of spring. Okay, because if you did, you're probably in a lot more trouble. And for all that he might think with Tennessee and the money, Tennessee was a talented team that made the playoff.
No question.
The team that you go to next, because you can't go to another SEC team, or you have to sit out a whole year. So you're going somewhere else. 9 times out of 10, that team's going to be less talented than the one you just left. So what you're traded now, and you've already been there 2 years in a very quarterback-friendly system. You know, Heupel loves his quarterbacks. He's already put his last 2 in the NFL.
Yep.
So you're going from that to wherever you're going. Like UCLA has been one of the – like UCLA is not a good team. You are not going to develop well there, and it's going to be a miserable season. And what you're trading now is what you thought would be – because what if you get the $4 million? Your best case scenario, right? UCLA says, hey, we're going to give you the $4 million you were asking to come here, right? You have a miserable season.
Yep.
You don't develop. And if what you're saying is true on the other one, you've already blown through the first one where your family's going to screw you over and then. So you're going to be forgotten in probably 2 years and have nothing to show for it. And less development, less skilled players around you.
Yep.
You've just traded all the way so you can make your buck now. And I think too many players are doing that. Let me make my money right now versus do you have any aspirations of going to the next level or being any better? Because Nico's the guy that you thought could at some point, you know?
That's kind of the question, right? Do you think he would make the league? Or do you think he would be like one of those Mr. Irrelevant, maybe undrafted free agent type guys? Because, I mean, you know, I get if he was in the running for the Heisman or something, you don't do this, right? You have a clear path to get to the league. I don't know that he had a clear path to get to the league. So I can appreciate trying to get every dollar that you can get.
Right.
At the same time, don't destroy your own career to do it.
Right. For him, it wasn't a matter of what he had done. When I say path to the league, I'm thinking more on his potential and ranking. And like Tennessee had to sue just to keep this guy, you know, and not get in trouble. So they thought he had the potential. No, his play so far has not warranted it at all. You know, the team last year made the playoff based on their running game and defense. Exactly. You know, nowhere did the offense come into it. So my whole thing about it is more the potential, your star rating coming out of high school, how highly touted you've been. Did you clearly when he was a freshman, everyone thought there was a path to the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So if you're jumping off for the money, have you stopped believing in that? Because the path that you're taking now and leaving Tennessee is not going to be the best for you at all.
No. I mean, he's going to take a massive step back wherever he goes.
Yeah.
Like besides, it's not like you were, again, a Heisman finalist or anything with a team that, you know, is a quarterback friendly deal, right? Like you got a good defense, you got a good running game. So in theory, your job should be easier. And I don't know. It's a weird situation. You knew it was coming though, because the NCAA just like put the program out there and they're just like, yeah, we don't know how it's going to work, but make it happen. So
we hope you guys navigate this well. No, it is. And it, like you said, 1,000% it's going to happen more. Like our guy said last night, it's actually happened more than people realize. It's just the teams with the better GMs and the players with the better agents, they keep it under wraps. Because when he said that, it said a couple of Bama players were still on the team. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But they don't have to reach this level. That's why I think
they didn't actually hold out, right?
They didn't actually hold out, no, but they threatened to. Kind of like with the Tennessee people.
I think that's a major piece of it, right? Is the fact that they didn't hold out. Like they threatened to, but, you know, they were able to, you know, get their deal done.
Right.
So once you actually hold out, but again, I think the biggest thing was the going outside the building without telling people that you were actually going to go outside the building.
Oh, that was dumb.
I think that's where it absolutely just killed.
Oh yeah. Well, first off, you're a prideful organization. If I was the coach, that would have sent me over the edge too, right? Although I will say this, from what I understand, I definitely think that was the dad, not Nico. And if I'm Nico, you and dad need to have a heart-to-heart. You know, like, hey, what you are tanking my career
Yep.
over some extra bucks. And who knows, right? If let's say he was at 2.2, let's take the lower of the numbers, right? And let's say Tennessee came back with 3. You're really going to say that getting to 4 was the end all be all? Again, with only 1 year under your belt and the stats, because what they say, like 20-30% of his touchdown passes came in 2 of his games. I mean, it's a crazy number. So you clearly weren't good across the board. You weren't good in your last game. I don't know what part of that game made you think, let's negotiate for a higher number, but that's fine. Whatever your value is, whatever you think your value is.
Yeah.
But that's all. You're talking almost a 100% raise.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing, right? You're trying to double up, and it's like, man, it's not like you won a natty or something. Like,
right?
You played okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be one thing if you were setting records and doing whatever.
Yeah.
I could appreciate that.
Yeah.
You went out and played average.
Yes.
Like you were all right.
Yeah. And that's it. You're basing it more on your potential, but they're like, dude, we had a great defense last year and a great running game. Had you been great, we probably win the whole thing. So now you want to raise. So it's like me coming in here in a robe doing the show, sit back like this the whole time, and then after the show, hey, Bo, I think it's time that I get it. You'd be like, what? What? Did you watch the show?
I don't think the raise is what you think it's going to be. It might just be one finger. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's a crazy drama. You should not be looking for a starting quarterback in the spring portal, or just trying to roll with whatever you think on there. No. And that's the other thing. If you knew that this drama was going to kick off, especially if it was since January, you're stealing reps from your guys behind Nico. If this going to be the case. So
and if you're a potential other school, did you see enough on tape to make you think that the headache is worth the production?
Right.
Because I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like people still entertain the Aaron Rodgers thing because he had elite MVP seasons, and they're just like, maybe we can fix him, whatever, right?
Right.
We haven't seen that out of this kid. So it's not like you have, we have some past performance to look at. He had a down year, but we could give him the money because we've seen this type of production. It's just like, we thought you could do it. We gave you a pretty good system to thrive in. And I mean, you were okay. Yeah. So do I want all of your headache for okay play? No, I think I could probably find a kid that can throw the ball okay.
I think that's where it's going to head. It's going to be interesting to see, does he actually land at UCLA or USC, who are the top 2, and at what number? That's going to be the biggest.
So I think he does land at one of those because they need the guy, right?
Right.
And he played well enough to land on a team. So it's not like he's going to exit football.
Right.
But that number isn't going to be very big.
No.
I have to imagine it's half a mil or less.
That would be awesome. I'm going to say he still gets like 2. I'm going to say he still gets
2?
I still think that somebody.
Wow.
You see how teams are, right? They like to make a splash. They like to, think that they can fix what the other guy couldn't make work.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna jump out there and say he still at least gets close. If you said he got a raise, I wouldn't even be 100. Now, so USC did have their guy last year at the end of the year who stepped in. His name escapes me. So it'd almost be like a quarterback competition. Now, if they were bringing him in for that, he gets a lesser number there. It feels like UCLA because UNC and Tulane both said they're out, and they were 2 of the suitors. So.
No raise.
Yeah.
Nah.
I wouldn't be surprised if UCLA tries to make a splash. But again, if you're going to a team that is still looking for a starting quarterback at the end of spring, that's not going to be a very good team. So,
neither one of those teams are good teams, but
I'm saying let's say if it goes beyond them, in any team that is still looking at this point, that's you. I just don't imagine that a team put together all the skill positions and had nothing. Like Alabama still, was like, hey, we're not 100% sure on who our starting quarterback goes in, but you had 3 prospects. We would not grab not even just. It was funny. I was on a show watching a show, and they were like, "You think Alabama should make a call to Nico?" I was like, "We've got 3 guys in the competition right now why would we add the drama of a fourth? So even if a team hasn't decided on their quarterback, you should already have some prospects that went through your whole spring versus adding a guy out of the portal after all your spring practices and hoping he takes the summer to learn the playbook without playing with his teammates all that much. Like, that doesn't make sense to me either. So.
I mean, to be fair, he wasn't playing with his teammates that much anyway.
But he at least knew them all. He'd be like,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, I presume I have no idea. Like I said, it seems like Nico was a good kid, and his dad just kind of went a little, he's running amok. So that's kind of what I read.
Yeah. Well, and then, with the thought of he blew through the money.
That's crazy.
That could also stem some of the I need a raise, right? I forget what it said that he bought, but, it was like a car and a house and whatever, which, I mean, cool. But it sounded like he burned through all of the money in one semester, which is impressive in a way. But I hope there was good resale on that Lambo because you won't be able to afford the insurance depending on what you get on this next deal.
Yeah. Hey, so his dad already says that he's gotten offers more than what Tennessee was offering.
I mean, he has to say that, right? Because they're still trying to negotiate where it is he's going. So you can't come out and be like, oh, yeah, we're getting buried, because now other schools aren't going to do anything, right? Like, you at least want to give the illusion of a bidding war to try and get that number back up, because I would bet that a lot of those schools are like, yeah, I'll give you like $5, dude.
It would be a shame if somebody actually offers him more. That would just be a crazy.
Yeah, you're rewarding bad behavior.
Yeah. Right. And then when it happens to you a year from now, you can't be shocked, by the way. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, in fact, you'd have to just be like, yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah, basically. Well, by the way, to Nico's dad, you've put crazy amount of pressure on this next year, because every pass will be criticized even more than it was before. Every interception, every fumble, every loss.
Yep.
And if you're getting him to a subpar team for more money, this year is going to look terrible.
Yep.
And you may have just ruined your son's future. So, I hope it's worth it. And by the way, this NIL, the money that we're talking about, he's been there 2 years. So we're not saying he blew through like 2. We're saying he blew through like 4, including signing bonuses and everything.
Well, so, I don't know what he had the first year. So the 2.2
they paid him 2 the first year.
Oh, okay. So yeah, because I mean, they were saying that he burned through 1.7 in one semester. And so you figure, I mean, he doesn't have an agent, I guess. So unless his dad's like actually the agent, right?
His dad is the agent. Yeah, he's the one negotiating.
So you think his dad took the standard agent cut and grabbed $400K out of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And his dad blew through the $400K, and he's like, "Whoa, we're broke." And Nico's like, "We're broke? Like, what are you?"
Well, I mean, but he bought a bunch of stuff too. So I mean, they were both broke at that point.
Yeah. Which, by the way, living in the South, do you guys know how hard it is to blow through money in the South? Right. Come on, people. If you give a guy in the South like 100,000, that should last you a long time, because half the time we're just down here chilling and watching football. Right. You have to work to spend $1 million.
And you would hope this dude was chilling and watching football, because he needs to get out there and play football. Yeah. I would hope he's watching film. Yeah. 101
it should be a requirement for all freshmen anyway.
So the thing is I feel like these NIL deals, there should be a line item in there that requires them to have a financial advisor.
Yes.
Right? Like, hey, here's the contract. You get this money. You also have to have a financial advisor to help you be smart with money. Because it's not like, looking back in my early 20s, that I would have done smart things with the money. I mean, I would have bought a house or whatever, but like at the same time, I would have done a lot of dumb stuff.
Right.
Because I was a dumb kid. It just is what it is. It feels like it should be a requirement, and you would think that these these NIL deals would want that, right? Because the last thing you want them to do is go across the country and be like, hey, let me try and get more money out of this other school, which is going to be a different NIL, right? Like you're paying for the name, likeness, and whatever. It's probably helpful if he's still on the team.
Yes. Oh, Bo, you and your crazy logic. What are you doing?
I know, right?
That's why it'll never work.
Well, definitely not in college football.
No.
Yeah, and a certified one, exactly. Like you need an actual unbiased financial advisor, but not one that's tied to a big chunk of your money. So that's the other thing, right? Like you don't want a financial advisor that if they give you bad advice, they profit. Like you need one that is truly unbiased so that they give them good advice. Because we've seen that in the past too, where they've had, managers or financial advisors that profited on their, lack of knowledge.
Right.
So you need one that truly is like just not, nothing to gain from it other than just, your standard paycheck, not tied to a percentage point of it.
Right. Right.
So, but I don't know. It's a mess and but it's the NCAA. And so you're just like, oh, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
And then of course, more ridiculousness from the NCAA. You got Travis Hunter a week and a half out from the draft saying if he doesn't go somewhere that'll draft him for both positions, he would just quit football. And this is the dumbest statement. First off, nobody's going to do it. Everybody's going to give him a shot at, at least packages on the offensive side. I'm assuming he gets drafted as a DB because he plays the position better. But like there's going to be packages for him. So it's not like anybody's actually going to do that. But still, what a ridiculous thing to come out and say. And of course, it's getting airtime because, there's just not a lot going on in sports at the moment.
Of course. No, first off, like you play football, okay, and that is kind of what you've made your job. Saying that you're going to quit if you don't get what you want, which is basically what you're doing, is just. And I get what he's saying. I really want to do this. I really want to go both ways. Well, let me tell you a couple of things. First off, when you start to play both ways, they're not going to pay you for both positions. They're going to figure out a way to try to pay you for whichever position you play the worst. And you already know that. Like, hey, I know you're a great corner, but you're like the 20th best wide receiver. So this is going to actually knock your number down, which probably doesn't make any sense, but that's what they're going to do. Second, the wear and tear you're going to get in the NFL is way worse than the wear and tear you got in college, bro. They are trying to save your career by telling you you're not going to play over 100 snaps every week. And you'll find that out by game 3 I'd almost just let you. And in game 3 where you're huffing and your guys running by you and catching bombs and they're just like, what happened? Well, 2 weeks ago and I got banged up a little on this hip, and then last week I got banged up a little this way. And I just, come on, man. Like I said, I get the competitive fire, but you need to do what's best for yourself long-term at some point. And playing every snap both ways is not it. And like you said, team's going to tell you, yeah, we're going to work you in. Don't be surprised when working you in is once a quarter. Hey, have we got Hunter in on this one wide receiver play this quarter?
Yeah.
All right, send him out there. Make it a run play.
I mean, that'll be the thing, right? Like it'll be gadgety stuff. Like it's you're not going to be a fixture of the offense because you're not going to get 100 to 140 snaps a game. You're just not going to.
Nor should you want to. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, first you'd be gassed, and second you're going to get hurt. Like there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah. And at the same time, from the team, one, they don't want their number 2 overall pick to get hurt, but also you don't want him to get burned because he just ran a go route and now he's defending a go route.
Yes. And
just doesn't have it in him. I mean, I don't know. It's a ridiculous thing, but I don't know. Interesting soundbite. Sticking with them though, University of Colorado. Buffaloes are retiring jerseys.
I was wondering if we were going to get to this one.
I mean, what are we doing? You're retiring jerseys from a team that didn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And not even the Heisman Trophy winner. You're just doing it for the guy. They put his record. He was 13-12 at Colorado, and no playoff appearances. So we're not even rewarding mediocrity. We're just,
I mean, they didn't do anything like it
at all.
It just doesn't make any sense at all. But I guess cool.
Bro,
right? Like later you can be like, oh yeah, my number's retired at this college, but like I mean, why? You guys didn't do anything. I mean, they were bowl eligible, right? So I mean,
one of the years that you were there, not both. One of the years.
Right? Exactly.
You didn't win the Big 12. You didn't win the playoff game. You didn't go to a playoff game. You went to one bowl in 2 years. I can't even remember if they won the bowl this last year because I think they play a Big 12 team in it somehow.
Yeah, they played in it. I don't remember if they won, but in fact,
which is sad.
I would assume they didn't just because I don't remember.
Right.
And the hype around it, had they won, would have been insane.
So I was reading comments when somebody posted this too. Yeah, they lost to BYU. I knew it was a Big 12 team, 36-14. So you didn't win a bowl game the 2 years you were there.
Yep.
You barely had a winning record, 13-12, which is nothing to brag about. And so I was like, oh, he set passing records at Colorado. I mean, because they were always behind is what I would think, given their record, or they had no line so they could never throw, but you didn't win a Heisman. I don't see, and then so in the comments, people are like, oh, but they brought Colorado back from the dead, and I was like, okay, but that was Deion more than it was you. The hype was around Deion because that first year was still terrible, but if you want to give somebody credit, Deion, you did a great job in kind of saving that program and getting them back to relevance and making them must-see TV every week. But Shedeur, that number should not. I can't even imagine why you would do it. And you put along the other Colorado greats, and you're walking through there, and then Shedeur is the last one. You're like, whoa, did I venture into another? Where did everyone else go? Like, it just makes no sense to me, And I hate it because now we have to pile on Shedeur a little bit, but this is the kind of stuff you open yourselves up to when you even suggest stuff like this.
Well, and I mean, what is the grounds for the retirement of the number, right? Like generally it's something you did that was just over the top elite.
Right.
Did I miss some games? Is that like
you missed a lot of games,
right? Like, was there something amazing that happened that I missed? Cause man, I don't get it. I don't get it.
This was a 10-7 overall record. And people writing this stuff don't even make sense. A 10-7 overall record with a 4-7 record, then a 9-4. Like, doesn't even make sense because those numbers don't match. But breaking numerous school. He broke the single season passing record and single passing touchdowns. So that's what gets you. You know how many numbers you'd be retiring at schools if that's all it took.
Yeah, every time you break the passing record, there wouldn't be numbers left. Everybody'd be at triple digits.
Yeah. Come on.
And I mean, of course they threw the ball a lot. They didn't have a running game.
Yes.
So, I mean, and they were behind a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course they threw the ball. They had to. I don't know. It seems crazy, but, at the same time, it's the Buffaloes, and there's the circus that is the Sanders action there. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of people were mad about his contract. The contract makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I wasn't mad at that at all. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he brought the school back to relevance. They were a one-win team when he got there.
Yeah.
So did he go to the playoff or, play for a national title? No, I don't even know if he ever does. But at the same time, you took a one-win team to a bowl game 2 years later after getting rid of every single coach and 90% of your players.
Yep.
I'm not mad at that. Like, the production-wise, like I'm, that's solid.
Yeah.
Retiring numbers and stuff, that's wild.
Yes, you've gone to those, and not even your Heisman Trophy winner. If I'm Travis Hunter, I'm like, we're retiring his number. At least I got some hardware. He's got nothing in the case. This one trophy versus 0 trophies, but still, yeah, no, and the Deion Sanders thing and the Shooter Sanders are just two different things. Yeah, Deion did great for that. And I've already seen people post, oh, what are they paying for? They're paying for the fact that they were a one-win team that the Big 12 probably didn't care to take in at one point to, oh, hey, now we've got enough money in NIL and we're trying to attract other people. And the Big 12 was like, oh, this could possibly be a flagship show. And every game is on TV. That wasn't happening. You saw more Colorado games in the last 2 years than you probably saw in the last 10. I'm watching Colorado State at midnight. Like they made this must-see TV. That doesn't happen without Deion. So, yeah, I get his money, and and that's what this is. He was like, hey, I think we should retire Shooter's number. They're like, really? He's like, yeah. So, like, I mean, yeah, Deion, we were thinking the same thing. Good call, buddy. But you can't imagine the school came up with this. So, what's up, JJ?
Yep. Yeah, and oddly enough, we are going to chat a little arena ball here. So, pretty cool that your brother's the center there. That's pretty awesome.
Nice. That's in my title, so maybe he saw my.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think. Mariota was better.
Yeah. He made it. Look, he didn't win, but he made it to a championship game and had a stellar career at Oregon. He was, you had way more wins and losses for him. So, no,
exactly.
Made it to one championship game and lost. There's no shame in that, So, no, Mariota was way, way better.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, if there was going to be one of the two guys, it would have been Mariota in my mind. So, but so I mean, on the arena side, we got the Wolf Pack here. Now you're good, man. So, in the AF1, we have the Washington Wolf Pack, and they got absolutely smoked on Sunday night, 61-21. And it started off promising. They were ahead in the first quarter, and then ball security became a real issue, started fumbling like crazy. And I think the biggest concern here is, they're 1-3 now. They've gotten beat pretty heavily through, those 3 losses. Their scoring totals have gone down each week. They got to turn around after 4 days and play tomorrow night. I don't know what you can correct when it comes to like mental errors, because there's tons of flags, lots of dropping the ball, stuff like that. If you're the coach, I don't know how you get that turned around in 4 days.
No.
And still have time to prep for the team you're going to go play.
Right. And you don't. And the other team threw 4 interceptions and they still won by 40?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, like it was an ugly game. It was an ugly game. Like it was so rough to be sitting there covering, because there would be a fumble for a score, and then the kick return would then also get fumbled, and you're just like, what are we even doing right now? Like, put some stickum on your hand or something.
So your defense just living out there like, I guess we're just not getting rest today. Is that what we're saying?
I mean, on the plus side, when you fumble a kickoff, the opposing team only has to drive 5 yards to get in the end zone. So, I mean, you're going to get your opportunity right back. But, I mean, just absolutely getting killed. And, of course, it's the Nashville Cats are coming to town. So, one thing kind of cool is there's a chance that we'll see Jeff Fisher back in the house.
Nice. Your buddy Jeff Fisher. We've seen the pictures. We know. Your buddy.
No. Like it'll be cool. It'll be cool because it'll be interesting. I'm hoping he's there. I don't know if he's coming, but
right.
Interesting to see, where he thinks the league is.
Right.
Because there's some concern about the Wolfpack financial stability, and these are from reports that I've been reading. This isn't coming from the team, obviously, because they wouldn't give you this information anyway, but it sounds like there's an issue with one of the owners that maybe financial solvency isn't there. So then you have questions of, does this team make it next year, right? Or make it the rest of the year, right? Because the way that their schedule was set up is their home games were basically all in front loaded on the season. So they have, a home game tonight, and then they have an away game, a home game, and then they might have one at like the end of the season. And then they have this road trip where they're going to have, I think, 4 or 5 games on the road. If you're running into financial issues, this is where your schedule gets expensive, right? Because you got to make the team travel and food and lodging and all of this. So then it makes you wonder if it starts to fall apart. And of course, I say this having played for a team that went bankrupt during the season.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I've seen this movie before. It's rough. So yeah, it's
I used to really enjoy this. I really used to enjoy this product too, when it was kind of maybe at the heights of its popularity and be on ESPN and stuff. And I always feel like there's a void that can be filled once NFL is done, and especially right around draft time, and we're just, hurting for football. I feel like the UFL and Arena could have both, because I'm one of those guys, man. I don't know how many there are out there, but if you were like, hey, it's a random Wednesday night and there's an Arena game on, like, it'll probably get a click and be on the background of something I'm doing. Might not be able to tell you every play, but it'll at least be on my TV. Or random Saturday when, cleaning the garage or doing something like guys do on weekends. It just seems like there's an opening somewhere.
There is, because with the U.S. having 330 million people,
right?
Say there's 1% that's interested in football. It's over 3 million people watching. That's good enough, right?
Yes.
Like, if you have 3 million people watching, like that's success.
Yes.
So it's there's definitely a market for it. They don't market it well. But there's a market for it. And the UFL is definitely starting to fill that, but there's space for Arena.
Yeah.
And I agree. I agree that there's too many leagues with the IFL, the NAL, AF1, and that's actually kind of why I want to get, the feel of where AF1 is, or if they are, potentially looking at, do they merge a couple of these leagues? Now, IFL doesn't need them. IFL is doing fine. It's probably actually the most successful one currently.
Okay.
But the NAL, there's a chance that, because the AF1 actually grabbed a couple of the NAL teams. One of them actually failed out before the season started, but oddly enough, for financial issues. But
wow.
But it's I think there's a way for these to move forward, but I agree there's too many. I think the biggest issue that has plagued arena football forever is just having consistent sponsorship has never really been great. Sponsorship has dropped out of it all the time at any time. And so if you are a team that can't financially set it up without it, those are the teams that really start to fall apart, especially when you get into scenarios where the team isn't great. And so attendance is down. So then advertisers start to pull out because they're like, yeah, there's like 500 people in the building. It's inconsistent where you can watch these games. Like some of them are on Vice TV and some of them are just on YouTube, and and you're just like, okay, well, it's hard to consume the product. People aren't showing up to the game. What am I advertising for?
Right.
And so all of a sudden those advertising dollars fall apart. And if you're not ready to, fit the bill as the ownership group, that's where teams start folding up, which is why you always see halfway through arena seasons, 1 or 2 teams just disappear. And it's unfortunate. It just happens to be a feature of the way it works, just because, again, they don't get the TV contracts to actually get, viewership.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Advertising, definitely. Until you mentioned this and you mentioned all the things, I didn't realize there was that many leagues. You know, I didn't realize they'd split up that much. I'm just used to old time arena football, and that's all it was there was one channel and they had all the teams on there. And then I'm looking at you know, like the teams, and there's none, you know, one in Florida, but mostly the South, there's nothing. So arena football just seems like one of those, hey, it's a Sunday afternoon, you know, there's a game at 1. I can take my son to it. It seems like hey, tickets are probably pretty cheap. Just go over and let them watch some football, and it's an exciting brand. Because I feel like arena is definitely one of those, hey, if you get in person, you'll enjoy that kind of game. And hey, it's not that expensive to go watch. But I'm looking here, I'd have to travel to Florida, so you're never going to get me to do that for an arena game. And then I never have, like you just mentioned, I've never seen anything about it on any. I have no idea until you just said that where I'd be watching these games at. So that's
and that's the biggest problem is there's no consistent way to consume the product.
Yeah.
Even within the same league, right? Like some of the games will be here and some of them will be here, and then there will be like one nationally televised game, and then but it's only sort of nationally televised, right? It's going to be on like ESPN, the Ocho after darts and cornhole. So you're just like, okay, like it's hard to find the product, and it's just like, okay, like this doesn't you know, it doesn't work very well. But you know, there's cool things about it. So if you're watching and you've never been to an arena game, it's worth going.
Yeah,
they're a ton of fun.
That could be fun. Yeah.
You know, if you're in the Northwest and you go to a Wolfpack game, the tickets start at $10. Like you don't get much cheaper entertainment than that anyway. But then if you happen to be sitting down low, so say you spent $20 and you got a better seat, if you catch a ball, you keep it.
Yeah.
Right. Like if the ball goes into the crowd, you get to keep that stuff. And so, you know, you might be $20 into a ticket and leaving with, you know, a game played football.
Yeah.
So it's there's cool things about it. It's definitely worth going. And I mean, arena is more fun when the stadium's full, right?
Yeah.
You get the noise, and so I mean, it's I don't know. I have a soft spot for it. I want it to be successful, but it just feels like these leagues run it in a way that they're never going to be successful.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we're this far in. I'm looking, it's like 16 years this league's been around. I'm like, I've never seen a game just randomly pop up. You know what we saw pop up on TV the other day? The pillow fighting championship. That somehow made ESPN news.
Man, that makes me sad. You know, pillow fighting. So I saw Pop-A-Shot championship.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, I crush at that. Like, why am I not doing that?
Right. You know, so the fact that, and I'm getting texts from Raj, and that's what he's like, what are you watch? Go watch ESPN News. I'm like, are you serious? Pillow fighting championship. I said, wow. Okay. Man.
Yeah. See, and
I need some arena football on my TV. This is what's going on.
I mean, when you have pillow fighting and
cornhole makes it.
Cornhole, darts, championship eating. Like what?
Yes.
We can't get an actual sport on there. Like, come on.
I just remember watching random arena football games, man. You know, like especially like I said, a Sunday afternoon when that's fills your football void. Like, it just seems easy to me. So I don't know.
I mean, similarly though, think about how hard it is to just find Canadian football.
Yeah.
Like the CFL it's hard to find games.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're actually entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
So there's rules in it that I think are bizarre. Like that you can get a point for missing a field goal, but
that joke is funny. Like what if you miss it and they don't return it, you get a point.
Yeah. It's like, I got it close.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, but they have to put a person back there. If they catch it and they return it, you don't get the point. So I'm like, you have to catch the field goal. So it's almost like miss the field goal so bad that nobody can do it. Like if I kick the field goal out of bounds, I get a point. Because I've seen an overtime game won by that. So I'm thinking that can't be. How'd you guys win? Missed the field goal. Wait, what? Yeah.
Right.
Missed the field goal.
Doesn't even matter if I'm good at this or not. Like, if I can make contact with the ball, it's a win.
It's a win. It's okay.
Yeah. No, it's bizarre. It's It's bizarre. But yeah, I mean, even that's hard to. Yeah, I just figured Herb didn't tell you when the show was.
I'm a little disappointed that that's not how he started out. I've never seen him admit to being late. You know, like, are you okay, Raj? Blink twice if you're in trouble.
It's actually not even him. His account got hacked.
Ah, yes, that makes more sense.
Oh man. So with the last little bit here, the WNBA had their draft Monday night, and the thing that's funny is, unless you were looking to watch it, you would not have known it was going on. And I know it's something we've talked about before, but how do they have such bad marketing that you just don't even know when these things are going on?
Man, Raj had to text me and say, hey, the draft is tonight? And I was like, no, absolutely not. Yep. Oh, I guess so. Right. So you posted it, and then Raj texted me. So the information is trickling down. So you were the only one that knew, because I honestly, and I knew that the top player going into it, Paige Bueckers, of course.
Yeah.
This draft didn't have as much star power as last year, but if you're trying to build upon the success of last year and the Caitlin Clark effect, you're just fumbling the bag all over. I would have had way more marketing. If you had to, man, ask her to show up hey, do you want to be an analyst or something? Or can you get one of those? The Angel Reese would have been another good, something.
I feel like fumbling the bag is giving them too much credit, because that means you tried. Like, they are out there pushing the full door.
They absolutely were. I feel like there's some executives that are sitting back going, our draft is tonight? Oh, dang it.
They're like, you know what? I'm watching reruns of CSI. I'm not even worried about it. Yeah, no, it's, man, I don't know. Cool, right? Yeah. Nobody saw it, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Our star went ninth to the LA team, but yeah, it was just bad. And I'm a guy who, last year I was trying to support the WNBA. I even mentioned watching a couple, college games, women's games, and skipping some UFL games at times, but they're making it tough. Do you honestly think what their plan is for this next year is we're just going to put all Caitlin Clark's games on TV and hope for the best? And heaven forbid something happens where she's, not available I don't want to wish anything on her, so I don't even want to say exactly what, but if she's not there for any reason, you guys are screwed, So all your eggs in one basket is just not going to work out in the long run. And you're just not even making an effort at this point.
It's not even like they did a good job with that one, though.
No, they did terrible on that too.
Like, the outside media gave them more play than the WNBA actually advertising their product.
Yeah,
so
you're right about that.
It's just, I don't know how you can have such a big organization, right? It's co-owned, funded by the NBA, and your marketing is so bad that, like, some community college group probably could outperform what you're doing.
Dude, I could have made it
a high school DECA program.
Yes. Bro, I just remember when we were just shooting ideas just off the top of our heads. I was like, hey, here's your first one. Every Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese game needs to be primetime television and marketed heavily.
Or at least a channel people have.
Yes.
How are you going to put these things on channels you have to stream?
Yes.
You're trying to get viewership, and you have it on a platform that nobody has unless you go buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, make it part of your national, just basic free broadcast, so you can actually get those numbers up. Then you can think about streaming. It's one of the things that I thought was laughable about college sports. They're like, oh, we all have our own channels now. It's like, great. You know what that does? Makes none of the rest of the country want to watch your product.
Basically. We will tune you out when it comes to it. You'll get your diehard, your loyalists that you'll have anywhere, but that's not the point of any organization. If the only people that are supporting you is the exact, diehards, like, you're just never going to prosper. And that's what the WNBA is going for. Oh, our diehards will be there. Okay, but if all of them try to make it to the games and your viewership on TV is terrible because none of the rest of us care, so good luck with all that. But no, they just fumbled the bag, and like they had some chances to make it better, but yeah, the draft sneaking up on everybody is awful. It is awful, awful, awful. So,
well, and I mean, you're also 3 weeks away from the first game.
Yeah. Remember last year, we didn't know any of that stuff. Nobody could tell us when the season started,
and nobody still can. I only know because I was going to go to their watch party, and I saw that we were picking second. I was like, I'm not going to drive all the way to Seattle to sit and watch the second pick.
Right.
I was like, yeah, because they didn't pick again until the third round.
Dang.
So it's just like,
y'all made a lot of moves though this offseason, right?
Yeah. So we had the second overall pick, but then we had 3 picks in the third round, which, cool. But I'm not driving all the way to Seattle for that because I wouldn't have hung out for the third round.
Right.
And so it's like, had we been picking in the middle or something, I don't know if I would have had my beer by the time our pick happened.
Right.
No. And that's no disrespect to the Queen Anne Beer Hall. They got an awesome spot. Shout out to them because they put on good watch parties. But because we picked so early, and the number 1 pick was known for a while, right?
Like, if you had another name, there would have been a riot. They would have gone, no, sorry.
So I mean, that was a known quantity. So it's not like you were going to be waiting the 10 minutes on the clock. Right. So it's like, okay, number 1 pick is done. So really, the number 2 pick is the first pick that has question marks on it. Right. And so it's just like, yeah, I don't even know if I had my drink ordered, and my part of the draft would have been over.
Yep. So. And shout out to Latham, man. They put on quite a show, and you could tell they were into it. The production seemed good, but like you said, you definitely just found it by accident. So, I mean, they had Russell Westbrook out there, which is some I don't think they do enough of. Why don't you grab more NBA guys? There got to be some. Just grab them and help make the bridge to your product, Because when I saw him out there, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually a good idea, And yeah, Russell Westbrook's a polarizing player, but it's an effort, right? You're going to tell me you couldn't get any of the rest of it? Now, I realize the timing might be tough, playoffs starting or whatever, but.
Yeah, well, some of that, but some of it wasn't because the league had him out there. He actually did the dress for somebody, right? Like it was the clothing. So he was actually out there for his own thing.
Right.
He wasn't actually there for the WNBA.
To support them, yeah.
And it's just like, how are you guys, especially being co-funded by the NBA, how do you not have involvement from the NBA? Because you got teams that are not in the playoffs.
Right.
Still have stars on them that you could have out there, like supporting this program. Yeah. And just for whatever reason, it's not a
think
thing.
About every team that's not in the playoff had a week off. So you're going to tell me none of those guys, either you're out of the playoffs or you're in the playoffs and not in the play-in. So you're basically saying 4 teams are off limits because they're playing, Tuesday, Wednesday. The whole rest of the league, you couldn't find me 2 guys somewhere in there and say, hey, man, I just need you to go to the draft.
Two guys for 2 hours.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
You can't do that. Like, I mean, what are we even doing here? I mean, or at least some of the, get some of the owners from the NBA teams, or I mean, get something. Yes,
that ties the two together.
Yeah, I mean, they're tied together anyway. Embrace it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird that they're so bad at what it is they do. Yeah. So hopefully the product gets better. That gets us to the top of the hour, though. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. And of course, if you are on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. We'll see y'all next week. Take it easy, everybody.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports Podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast Podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and